Welcome Baroness Sandip Verma to Womanistaan talk show. It's really and honestly and my pleasure and my honor to have you on this talk show of mine and Razia Mashkoor. And you have been a dear friend, my mentor. And by coming onto this platform, you have again been very kind enough to bless this whole episode of Womanistaan and give us the strength and motivation that we can do more. So for all my viewers who would like to know about respected Honorable Sandip Verma, would like to introduce her. She's been the champion of women causes and she's the chair of the UN Women UK and she's been the co-founder of the Powerful Businesswoman, and she has helped raise the bar for so many women out there. And she has been mentoring a lot of women to come up in their individual businesses and as also helping in developing their personalities to stronger women. So welcome aboard to Womanistaan. And Razia would like to first ask you a question.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure, a great honor, and of course, to have somebody who's Menaz as a friend is great. And it's lovely meeting you today, Razia.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. So, welcome to Womanistaan talk show. And my first question would be, tell us about your journey from Amritsar to UK, London.
So, first of all, this initiative is fantastic. Womanistaan should have been there years ago, and I'm so glad that you guys have actually created this platform, because we don't have enough platforms that are there solely for women. So my journey started as a baby born in Amritsar to, my father was a customs officer and my mother a housewife. And I landed in the UK age 10 months old. So I got here just before my first birthday. I think the journey really was blessed because my mother went into labor as she and my grandmother were in the Golden Temple hearing prayers, and from the Golden Temple they went straight to the hospital, and a few hours later I came into this world. So I think my sort of entry into the world is incredibly blessed, and I mean eternally grateful to the city of Amritsar for giving me the opportunity to call it my home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is wonderful, wonderful. How did you involve in helping or supporting women causes?
So, Razia, when you're born a girl within the subcontinent community, the first thing you are told very early on is that you're a girl. So there are certain things that are not expected of you, or there are certain things you are not engaged to do. And so that was a lesson that I learned very quickly as a girl. And of course, whilst my parents would have loved me dearly, the culture around the way baby girls are born, even today, is quite a sad, quite a sad concept to think that we celebrate birth only when it's a boy and not when it's a girl. And I know things are changing, but they're not changing quickly enough. I also recognize that being a girl and then being of a skin color in a country which was white was also going to be quite challenging. So there are a lot of factors, and you know, the environment actually shapes the way you turn out. Now, my father was a very conservative Indian. He was from the Sikh faith and he was a very conservative Sikh. However, at the same time, there is a contradiction of terms. When you're growing up in a country where racism was quite prevalent when I was growing up, he also instilled in us that we couldn't accept being treated as second best. So whilst as a girl, you're expected to do the things that your father expects you to do from an Asian background, you're at the same time having the challenge of balancing that against going out into the community and not accepting the second best because of the color of your skin. That toughens you up. And so even with the Western world, women's rights were not actually very prevalent until the mid-70s, 1970s, when laws came in to protect them. And so I think a lot of things around me shaped my thinking. I had to toughen up. I was constantly being bullied and pushed around and called names at school. And either you sat back and accepted it, or you had to stand up and fight. And I decided that the best path was to fight. And I have been a fighter ever since, not just for myself, but for all the rights of women, and particularly women of color. Yeah. And I'm still doing that even today, because as you can see, the world hasn't changed that much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I'm just very fortunate that I've got a very supportive husband who has been with me on my journey from the day one, and has really said that nothing should get in the way of the rights of women to establish themselves. And the journey has been made much easier because of that. And I think a lesson to all women should be that they need to ensure that when they have children themselves, that they instill in both their sons and daughters, the world is your oyster and it's for you to develop yourselves to get it, rather than shy away from it.
Absolutely.
And become the pearl that the world would like to see.
Yes,
exactly.
So what role they play to get you here?
So I think the easiest way to look at this is that the challenges my father put up, and please bear with me, I loved my father to pieces. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And so he can't defend anything that I say. But my father instilled in me not to accept second best from the outside world. Whereas in the inside, the community world, it was, you are a girl, so you're not going to do X, Y, and Z. And so I got married very early. I was in the middle of my A-levels, which is, I think 12th now. In India, it's 12th, where you're 17. And, and I was married to Ashok just before my 18th birthday. But the great thing was that whilst my father was incredibly conservative, I married a man who was incredibly liberal.
Wow.
He came from, seen the world in a very different way. His background was from a corporate background. And so I think it was quite a wake-up call for me to not have to push against a wall to do things, because he actually said, look, I'll open the doors for you. You just do what you want. And so I think that sort of gave me the ability to get up and do things. But remember, he's one of 5 brothers and 1 sister. And it's really about how his mother and father made him respect females right from the beginning. And, and I think it really does matter a lot about how your parents raise you and your expectations. And so Ashok's, my father-in-law was my best buddy. Yeah. When my father-in-law was around, he was my best buddy. And he again made it very clear to everybody when I first came in as a very young bride, that if she wanted to do something, the whole house would have to support it. So I think when you have that sort of fabric within your family, it's much easier. I know that's not the case for many people out there, but I do think that, you can't suffocate people's potential, and you mustn't suffocate people's ambition. And the Indian community, particularly those brilliant girls that are growing up in India, looking around, wanting to be that pilot, that politician, that filmmaker, that icon of somewhere else, they shouldn't feel that they can't do it. I mean, I came from a very small family, middle-class family. I was born in Amritsar, and sometimes when I look at what's on paper about me, I can't believe it's me. But it's me because I found people who have supported what I wanted to do. Absolutely. And that's the thing.
And they made you believe in yourself.
Exactly, Manaz.
What were the challenges that you faced when coming from India to England, where the culture is so strict, and example, like you cannot call someone sir. We say it so casually. We call someone sir so casually, but over there you call someone sir. It's only when you attain a certain level that's when you're called sir. Over here, every second person we say sir, not really understanding. So coming from India to Britain, what were the challenges that you faced? Were there any very important changes where you realized that, this is what I had not really fathomed, or I had not really thought would come across my way?
So Manaz, when you're a baby coming to the country, everybody around you when you're children are the same.
Yeah.
Children don't in color, but unfortunately, the prejudices and the discriminations that are here are embedded in the institutions. So, when you went to school, it was damn hard making sure that, you weren't, because I was one, maybe two people of color in a class. Today in the UK, there are lots of people of color. At that time, in my whole school, there would maybe be 2 or 3 of us. And so, you've got teachers who, rightly or wrongly, didn't have the filter to understand how to behave with you. They were discriminatory.
Yep.
But not all teachers were. I wouldn't say that all teachers were bad, but you do get bad experiences. It was easy for people to call you names when you're walking on the street. It was easy for people to be discriminatory to you. My father, my mother, they all faced discrimination. So all of those things, they do shape you. And, even when I was 15, 16, all my friends were white because nobody in my school was of color. So my whole growing up was around people that were not like me. And I had no reference to my history. I had no reference to people who looked like me. So the only thing that my reference was when my parents would take us to see a Bollywood film. That would be it. We would only know that people like me existed somewhere else. And those people were uniquely different because they did things that we weren't allowed to do. There were girlfriend-boyfriend things which we weren't allowed to do. There was, so you grew up with these constant challenges. And I think the easiest way to explain it is that it's easy to then retract back and not challenge anything.
Yeah.
But when you're 13, 14 years old and the racist group called the National Front, which was a complete far right wing group, grew up in the area where I was living, we either had to fight or flight. And we decided to stand up and fight. And that has been what we've shaped, what's shaped many people of my generation. I do think sometimes the younger generation are slightly softer. Yeah. They've not had the same, I hit 61 this year and I'm still fighting for people because of their color and their gender and their age. And I just think, we're in the 21st century and we're still fighting these things. Yeah. So the world really hasn't changed enough.
About going to the House of Lords, how did that whole thing happen? Very excited to know.
Yeah.
But the House of Lords, in my wildest dreams, I did not think I was going to end up in the House of Lords because I came into active politics in 1998, 99, and I fought 2 elections. Now, both elections, the first election I wasn't going to win. It was my first seat. And I fought the Deputy Prime Minister of the Labour Party, so I knew I wasn't going to win. The second seat I should have won. But again, I'm going to put this out there. The biggest protagonist, the biggest challenge was convincing Asian men to be supportive of me. Yeah. And it wasn't the white community because the vote from that area, when you're doing your straw polling, you knew was coming out. The biggest problem remained the Asian community. And
it's our people. It's just our people that we need to convince them.
Of course.
And it's sad because I was going to be the first woman of Indian origin. If I'd won that seat, I would have made history in British Parliament to be an elected member. I still made history because I was the first woman of Indian origin, South Asian origin, actually, to sit on the front bench in the history of Parliament. So, you know, they may have stopped me there, but they didn't stop what I was going to achieve anyway. So it would have been better had my community felt that they could have come with me, but they didn't. And, you know, I'm sorry to say, their loss. Because at the back of me coming into politics, a lot of girls from our communities have entered into politics, and I'm really glad that they have. And it doesn't matter what political party they are. If they come to me, I am always there to give them support.
Amazing. Okay, I have another question for you, Sandip. As the UN, for you stand for the UN, United Nations for women empowerment, for successful women entrepreneurs, to mentor them, to see to it they raise the bar and reach certain levels. So what are the different roles that have been done? What are the different paradigms of shifts that have happened over the period of time?
So Manaz, first of all, it's always a privilege to hold these positions because they're incredibly important. And, you know, I have the privilege of being chair of UN Women UK, where we have done a lot of work around the safety of women in both the home, because a lot of, sadly, a lot of danger is within the household. And then we're looking at safety in the workplace and safety when women go out to venues like the cinema, music venues, you know, sports venues. So we've done a lot of work around that. And I have a brilliant CEO who has been absolutely fabulous at making sure our strategy is developing. As you know, I set up Powerful Women about 5 years ago, which was really to tackle the lack of women, senior women in the energy sector. And to date, to be quite proud of the fact that 5 years on, the government of UK recognises Powerful Women as a very strong supporter of the group and supports us every year through sponsoring our conferences. And you know, we've managed to shift the sort of way people see women. If you look at any company that encourages women in senior management at board level, you will see that the profit margins at the bottom line increases dramatically. And the problem for most boards is that it's been run by the same sort of men for many, many, many years. And so they look at people that they bring onto the board that look like themselves. Now you have a problem in India. I mean, I advise the Indian Institute, the Institute of Directors in India.
In fact, we met in Delhi at the Meridian the first time.
Exactly so. And well, you'll know, Manaz, that every time I stand on the platform, my rallying call is that more women have got to be involved in board decisions.
Right.
The difficulty you have is that most women feel that they shouldn't push themselves forward. And most men don't have any difficulty in actually over-assessing their ability. And women are constantly underestimating their ability. So I think we need to...
It's also convenient for the men to make their daughters or their wives just sign onto the agreement saying that they are on board of the companies, because it's like a 1%, 2%. So it's very conveniently given to the child or to the wife. Okay, you just sign on this and you're on board, but you're not making any decisions, you know?
Yeah, and so I think one of the pieces of work that we're doing is around this particular issue, that it should not be wives or daughters unless they have played a role within the company actively, and that really the draw through should be from senior management that has been in the company for a long time. Now, you know, when I started Powerful Women in the energy sector, there was the same excuse. We haven't got the talented women, the pool of women are not there. I'm afraid they were, and the men just didn't recognize that we needed to actually help support them get through to the boardrooms. So you know, most companies will start asking the question. I mean, I'm now working on a piece in the UK around about women of color. and people of color getting on boards. Because if you are quite a large percentage now in the UK, and the percentage, we have one person on a FTSE 100 company of color, that is outrageous. So, you know, so we've got to push the barriers. We've got to stop being frightened and asking the question. I mean, you know, I have never, ever been frightened to say, I want the job. I have got the qualification. I may not have it on paper, but I have every ability. Any household can manage a business. End of story.
Like, I would say something that after completing my course of Institute of Directors, after like a year of attending a lot of seminars, coming to Bombay, in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Delhi, I did all my rounds of all the IOD seminars. And I had this opportunity of meeting Mrs. Birla's first lady. So I went across to Mumbai and I said, I've done my IOD. I took an appointment and I said, I would like to come on your board. So she was like shell-shocked. She said, you know, we have people in the corporates who have so much of experience in so many years, and you're a young girl and you just walk in. And I mean, you know, I said, no, I just feel I can do it. You know, so that's the confidence that comes in, irrespective of whether they take or not. But I walked into the office and I take me on board.
But there are very, women we can count that who had that experience to, you know, come out and fight for their rights. There is so much, because they are so oppressed. Even as you said, you are talking about the corporate level. I'm just giving you one example from Muslim community. You know that at the time of nikah, the groom father came to the Qazi and just filled the form, and the Qazi came to the me, as that's happened with me too, come to me and says, sign here, your marriage will be with Suhaib, who is the son of this, and 1 lakh of rupees, Indian rupees, as a meher. Please sign there. If you accept it, sign there. I mean, what is other laws in Nikah said?
Nothing. In fact,
never say that. Never tell that what is other Nikah. I'm watching my mommy's Nikah. It says to my father, address to my father, you will give the radio. My mom is a diehard fan of old songs. So you have to give them all these songs or radio. At that time, 60 years ago. And then pandan.
So basically,
every time you have you give pan and chali and everything, and then so there is a list he wrote.
Clauses, you know, in the
all clauses they put in there. But when I came when I got chance to get married, there is nothing. Nothing, because the mullahs are cutting and edited all the clothes.
So see this, Sandip, this is a nikah which is full of clauses, which I just received. So it's not just saying yes and signing on to it.
No.
This has so many clauses that he cannot remarry, polygamy without the wives. And this is all in Islam. But when the nikah is done, the clauses are edited. That's why in India, a friend of mine called Noor Jahan, she has trained 50 Qazi women who are now going to conduct the marriages. So the next thing that we're going to be talking to Noor Jahan, she's from Mumbai, is that she has trained 50 women, Muslim women, to take care of the nikah ceremony. So the whole nikah itself is tainted. The way it's conducted.
I mean, when I'm hearing about the corporate level things, I say, hello, that's corporate level things. We do not have even chance to read our nikah before marriage.
But I think that's where we got to really think very hard about how our parents bring us up.
Yeah.
We've never been, you see, when you are a child, you're never brought up to question what your parents tell you. And the great thing about the Western world is everything is questioned.
Yeah.
You know, even when you're a student, when I was an opposition minister for universities. I used to attend symposiums where Indian students would come, where the Southeast Asian students would come from Thailand and places like that. None of those students would challenge the lecturers on anything. They would accept whatever was told to them, that this must be right. And children were learning parrot fashion, whatever the information was. In the West, we are actually taught to be critical, to critique things. So I think it starts very early on here, that you don't accept what's in front of you. You don't blindly embrace whatever is put in front of you. And so even today, at my age, if I see something and a learned person is speaking, I need to know the reasoning behind it. And so I still ask the questions. Now, it's for my benefit I ask the questions because I want to know. But if you as a child are constantly told, they are older than you are, they know what they're doing, there are places of authority, you can challenge authority, actually what you're doing is stifling the growth of your own people's minds. And that is why when people say, oh, you know, so-and-so came and ruled over us and so-and-so, well, yeah, because the mentality is that we bow down and accept.
So I'll give you a very recent 2-day back example as to something that happened in my personal family. My daughter just completed her LLM with honors. And she has this dream, and I have this dream that she should go either to England or to the US and pursue her LLM, her further studies, her masters, her LLMs. So she has like 80% decided that she wants to go. Here comes in the side of her father's family. I wouldn't take the names though, telling that, you know, so-and-so proposals have come, and, you know, ek baar if a daughter travels internationally, then who's going to marry her?
Yeah.
So I just told her, I said, you come here. I want to talk to you. Come here right now. I want to sit down and understand what exactly is being said to you. So she said, they say that if I were to study internationally, once I come back, no one's going to marry a daughter who's gone and flown international and studied. I said, if someone wants to do wrong, they can do it when they go out for breakfast. It's all about your upbringing. It's all about your values. And I said, irrespective of where you are, if you are doing wrong, you are doing wrong. She said, what do I do? Should I just go ahead? What the elders are saying in my family? I said, learn to step up for yourself. Take a decision where what you believe in. She said, I want to study. I said, that's it. Then no questions. You are your own boss, I told her. Take your own decisions.
I'm with me. I mean, my father was so open-minded. My mom is so open-minded. Whatever we said, Mama, I want to do it. Okay, beta. Papa, I want to do it. Okay, beta. Never said no for anything. I did my karate and NCC games. And I went everywhere from Kashmir to Kanyakumari for camping and fight. And I hold fourth position at India level in karate. So he gave me all permission and everything, but never gave permission to go and do a job. He says, Papa, you are giving me every kind of permission, go and do it, whatever you want to, but why not job? I mean, it is this college, women's college. There are women. My favorite teacher became a principal. Why can I not say no? What people will say? Because we are 7 sisters. So people, you know, the neighbors, the families and second, third families, they will say, see, they have 7 daughters. So he sent them to earn money. I am not going to allow you.
Okay, so that's wonderful, Razia. But you have been a fighter, and I see today you are talking here with the lady herself. And I have one last question, last but not the least, is how do you see Great Britain? How do you see India? And how do you see the United States with the platforms that you have, or with the United Nations platform, that we as 3 countries, we are in 3 different time zones right now. What do you see probably going in the future that we could 3 join together in 3 different countries, 3 different women, one one desire, Womanistaan.
Yeah, when there is
Do you see any
such
prospective thing happening?
color and religion discrimination. You may heard so many things recently about the
But I
BMS.
think, Razia
Yep.
and Menaz, I think, the great thing about women is this. They do know how to coalesce around ideas. They do know how to put aside a lot of, we don't have to have fallouts and arguments. The world has been divided enough because the power of men ruling the countries. I mean, look at the way COVID has been dealt with. The countries where the women have been the leaders of those countries have either had less challenges to deal with COVID or have dealt with it in a much more constructive manner. Where it's become an issue has been because the tone and the way the narrative has been put out there has actually harmed people's ability to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Basically,
have
I think creative sensibilities of the women
Yeah.
that gives them an edge.
Exactly. And I think also, Menaz, the difficulty we've always had is that as women, we've always waited for permission. And I've always said, I don't need somebody's permission to do something.
Absolutely.
But if you want to come on the journey with me, please come. But if you don't, then I can't force anybody. And, at the end of the day, the power is in our hands.
Yep.
Those of us who have a voice have a duty and a responsibility to stand up and speak up for all of those women and girls who can't stand up and speak up. And there are millions of them. We still are in countries where we discriminate in our own communities on color of skin. Light skin, dark skin, tall girl, thin girl, fat girl. At the end of the day, if we don't stop that, then we are as complicit in the problem. Now, I have always said, you don't have to agree with me. You don't always have to stand with me. But if you want to find something better, then please do it and I'll support you.
Perfect.
What I won't do is stand by and allow things to carry on and be the same. Now, I can do that because I've done it for a long, long time. I went on my first march when I was a teenager and I've been marching ever since. I am not frightened of calling people out. But I also think that as women, once we are in positions of power, it's our responsibility to pull more women up. And we do that badly. When men haven't got time to do a job, they give it to another friend. When we haven't got time to do a job, we don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Very true.
And so we have got to change our approach. You said, how can UK, India, and US work together? Of course we can. There are so many forums. I've just joined the Women's Trade Chamber for India, a chapter to join with Uganda. For me, the world is a very, very small place. My sisters in Africa need my voice just as much as my sisters in Asia need my voice, just as much as my sisters in Europe need my voice.
Yeah.
I want us to be a family of people working together. Religion doesn't come into it for me. As you know, Menaz,
Sure.
I am very straightforward on these things. Everybody's religion is personal to themselves.
Yeah.
I am extremely proud that I was born into a Sikh family, married into a Hindu family. My friends come from all religions, and I've respected and bowed down to each one's religion. But I don't impose my thoughts on anybody. I don't want anybody's thoughts imposed on me. But one thing that we all fight for is humanity and the rights of women and girls. And where I see abuse, I am a tiger ready to pounce. And I think that's how we work, Menaz.
That's why I'm very
It's giving me a goosebump actually. Yes, I'm so happy to listen you. The people, the women around the globe, or especially whoever will listen us, what the message you would like to give them?
I would like to just say one thing. We're all in it together.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where you come from.
Yep.
We all are knowing where we're going.
Thank
So
you.
let's try and make, leadership, and as I always say, leadership isn't about what's in front of you, but
Yeah.
about the people following behind you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the great thing about what to do. Let's just, we can do virtual handhold everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's the greatest thing. I often think to myself that I am amazed at how much I've achieved without any help.
Yeah.
So can you imagine how much you can achieve when you get all our help? And as for your daughter, you see, Manaz, if you've got a positive mother who tells you that everything is possible, then everything is possible.
That is
So,
so
And we
amazing.
life
must
is
make
all
the
about the
impossible
choices you
possible.
make. Life is all about the choices you make. I said, you come here, I want to talk to you. I said, you
Exactly.
listen, you've got a world out there. In fact, I told Razia too. I said, I want her to stand on her feet, complete her LLMs, irrespective whether she continues staying in the US or England or comes back over here, but she has to complete her major dream of completing her master's post honors in BLLB. So
Exactly.
on that note, I would like to thank you. Thank you on behalf of Razia Mashkoor. Thank you, Razia, for hosting us on BDC TV website. It's also going to be on my production house page.
Everywhere.
And thank you, Sandip Verma, my dear friend Sandy, to be here with us and speak your heart out. And inshallah, we look forward to doing something together.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having
so
me.
much. Thank you so much, Sandip.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank
Love you talking. Love.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.